Yo, what's up everyone? My name is Adam with Antique Auto. Today I have a 71 Riviera, another boat tail. This car has been here before. Last time I was here, I can't remember, maybe it was April or May. We installed gauges in the ashtray for it. And it is back for a part throttle hesitation. So we're going to dig into that and see what we can find. Okay, got the air cleaner off. Everything looks like it's been kind of untouched for a while, but it also appears that the vacuum lines are routed a little bit differently than stock. There is supposed to be a solenoid that sits right here called the TCS solenoid, transmission controlled spark. I have one in my stash, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back where it's supposed to be, make sure this thing's how it should be. Right there is the TCS solenoid, but I also want to find out if the wire is still there. Yeah, there it is. It was buried, so cool. I also want to go ahead and just pull this carburetor, clean it up, put a quick rebuild kit in it, get the accelerator pump swapped out and make sure that's not an issue. So get this thing taken off, we'll blow it apart. Current workbench is the hood of a car. That's good, right? It says 0 flat surfaces in this place to work with. I have a feeling that when I open this thing up, the accelerator pump is going to be fine. I'll tell you what, that 98% of the answers that people get on the interwebs when they ask about a tip-in hesitation is an accelerator pump. Well, I don't think I've ever seen one that is bad. I mean, I've seen people post pictures of ones that are kind of rolled up on the side and whatnot, but I've never run into one myself. The hesitation issue is usually some sort of a vacuum leak or a tuning issue that is unrelated to the accelerator pump. We'll find out. There are 2 screws down here inside the primary venturi, or whatever you want to call it, that are easy to miss, that hold the air horn on. You basically got to take a pair of needle nose and get them out. Thanks to Legendary for the workbench today. Looking at this bracket right here, I have to take and punch the roll pin in to get this bracket off. So I'm gonna punch the pin in just far enough so that it almost touches this wall here, but I want to get enough of a space in there so I can push it back out when I reinstall it. I'll show you where I end up. Okay, it's punched out with this little punch here, and I punched it just far enough so that I can get a screwdriver back in there and push it back out that way when we go to reinstall it. Okay, so that's out of the way. What is it? I don't know, you could use ours. It's a loose starter. That's tight. Huh. There's a... All right. There's the accelerator pump. It appears okay. Safety glasses, everyone. It might be a little worn on that shaft. We'll go ahead and replace it. Keep looking here. Try and keep these gaskets intact so you can compare them to the new ones that are in the kits. That's bent. There's folks are going to tell you to swap these out with a brass float. This looks like a slightly different design than what I'm normally used to. These usually have a point on them. This is kind of a flat deal. I mean, we haven't had any issues with needles in seats on this one, so I'm not too worried about it. But I'll go ahead and keep plucking away at this thing. Let's get apart enough to be able to get it cleaned up. Get all these little orifices cleaned out. See if we're missing anything too. I gotta find a spot to dump this gas. Boom, magic. This is just a bread tray that I got from an old Mr. Good Sense that closed, like a Subway type restaurant. There's our ball bearing for one of the holes down inside here. Keep that separate. There's a spring inside the power piston that I can't get to. Hopefully that'll come out when I turn it upside down again. Let's get this off. Fuel filter housing. Hopefully there's actually a fuel filter in there. That's good. And the spring. It's just like that. Get a bigger screwdriver for that. It's probably too big. Just right. Actually, it is just a touch too big, but it works. These seats don't need to be driven in with a impact wrench, so they should be pretty easy to get out. And there's a gasket that's just on the lip of that. Put that on the seat. Seat looks like it's in fine shape. Get these idle mixture adjustment screws out of here. Show parts. Get that spring out of the power piston hole. I might have to fish it out. There we go. Okay. Phillips. In the last videos that I've worked on these Quadrajets, I haven't really shown you what I've been doing. So I figured I'd take a little bit of time and detail the process of the actual carburetor. Again, save your gaskets to make sure you can compare what's going back on out of the kit. Sometimes you'll see blobs of epoxy on these 4 ports here. And they have a tendency to weep. That probably might be what's going on with this one actually, because it's really wet. But so far so good. This thing doesn't look too bad. It's pretty clean. It's actually really clean inside. So I'm going to take it up to the parts washer and give it a scrub down. While you're in here cleaning this stuff up, pay close attention to all these little tubes and holes and everything. Make sure everything's nice and clear. Take small pieces of wire and run them through there, and then run compressed air through everything. Make sure everything's nice and dry and clear. Okay, back in business. There's the new accelerator pump, the old one. I need to swap a couple of pieces on this thing because it doesn't come as a whole assembly in a parts kit. So the spring and the retainer have to be swapped onto the new one. There we go. All right. Here we go. Save that one for later. This carb doesn't have to be Concore clean. I'm just looking for it to be clean inside and all the orifices to be clear. And it's Concore, not Concourse. It's two different things. We're not at the airport. Concore ends in an S. It's French. Which way did this go? Okay. Parts and parts and parts. Needle and seat. Gasket. Let's see if these are the same size as the other one. That way I don't have to change the float level. Hold on. Mr. Shaky today. Had my coffee, but nothing to eat yet. That's smart. That's why they call me Smartin. Just gonna lightly snug that up a little bit more. Oops, perfect. Should be fine. New needle. Get the hook on it. Make sure I'm not forgetting anything else before I continue. No leftover parts, extra parts. I'm gonna go ahead and put this same float back in. We weren't having problems with it before. This can be a little bit of a trick, especially if you're shaky like me. Get the needle to go in the hole without dropping. The needle's got to hang from the center of this float. And it's a challenge. Challenge accepted. There we go. Voila. Don't forget the spring for the power piston. What other kinds of fun parts can I put in here? This is an unfortunate situation. Since I don't have any extra metering rods, I'm gonna have to try to bend these back to the way they're supposed to be without breaking the damn things. What happens is people try to force these things down in there, and this power piston won't go down 100% unless these are in their holes. And if you miss, they get bent. So you gotta be super careful when you put them in. This is pretty good. Okay, here we go. And half the time you can't see when you're putting these things in where they go. Okay, that's in. And the next step is to stake it in place. Doesn't have to be perfect because it's generally gonna, once the carb air horn is on, it'll stay. Oop. Don't forget parts, Adam. I don't do these every day, so it's not like muscle memory. I have to sit here and think about it. Am I on the right way? Yes. This can be a bit of a challenge trying to get this all. It is the wrong way. Jesus. Stupid. Okay. Perfect. All right. Before I put this air horn on, make sure I'm not forgetting anything that is necessary. Old needle, old seat. Okay. So this is that one tube that came out or was sitting in the carburetor when I pulled the air horn off. I'm going to just make sure it's sitting straight inside, and the rest of them are all in good shape. The two long boys go in the back ones here. Make sure you're not cross-threading anything. Got to get them started by hand. Don't forget your little screws that go inside Venturi, or next to it, I should say. Venturi doesn't start until the middle. Yeah. I forgot. Nobody told me. Anybody figure out what I forgot? Stupid. No wonder this thing is so easy to stick on. There's a spring that goes there. Yep. I wonder why I was sitting so low in the hole. Now you know. All right. Dumas. Make sure these are clean. These are actually pretty fat, but I'm not here to rejet the carburetor. Just want to get it cleaned up, put a good accelerator pump in it, make sure all the idle tubes are open and clear. Again, I'm not trying to make everything perfectly clean except for where it matters. Man, that AC is loud. But I sure do like it. All right, I'm going to drive them all the way into just where it touches, and then I'm going to back it out 2 turns for my starting point. Some do 1.5, some do 2.5, some do 3. 1, oops, half, 1, half, 2. get in there. There we go. This thing was using the, well, you can really see it, the inside hole. If you use the outside hole, it's not always the best thing to do. I'm just gonna line up the hole and pry that roll pin right back where it was. There we go. That was easy. So, this is the bitch. All right, so this part is used to keep the secondary flaps from opening when the choke is still activated. You're gonna find that this is not always on the car. People delete it. I don't. It makes a difference. Make sure it's on the right way. If you put it on the wrong way, it won't. It'll be pretty obvious. But you really want it to be sitting just like that. This is where I struggle getting this choke assembly back together. If you've got a better way to do this, feel free to let me know, because it's a real pain in the you-know-what. Because I have to slide this inside here and make these two meet up just like this. And I can't see it when I do that. So it's a pain in the butt. Hey, lost it. Gotta be a better way. Somebody please let me know. All right, I got it. So when you take this thing apart, it's very important to know which direction these things are installed, because it really makes a difference on how they operate. If you put it in backwards or upside down, then it just won't work. Also, it's a good idea to make sure these hold vacuum. I've already tested them. They are good. I'm going to reuse this filter. I don't like this thing. Let's see if this one works. Much better. Make sure we get the spring in there. I hear the comments coming. You should put a new filter in. You should do this. You should do that. Well, you can do it on your build. Don't tighten that thing too much. You'll strip it and ruin the carburetor body. All right, let's get this thing installed. Pull the old gasket off. Base plate gasket. It says, do not use with Buick carburetor earlier than 1969. That's good advice. Because 69, or 68, 67, and I guess 66 as well when they used the Quadrajets, had exhaust passages that ran through here. And if you didn't use the right gasket, you're in trouble. I learned that the hard way a couple years ago. I had a customer who drove his 67 Electra home on a fresh rebuild, and he got home and the car wouldn't run for crap. His base gasket was basically blown out because of the exhaust, and it wouldn't run. It had a massive vacuum leak. So basically the mistake that I made was that I didn't have a ooh, crap. So I didn't have a metal plate in there that blocks the exhaust gas from getting through the carb. Okay. This is that TCS solenoid. I found one in the stash. Anytime I have weird hesitation issues or anything like that, I try to go back to square one and make sure everything is as factory. So that I know that nothing's cobbled together or weird, or I can start from scratch. I've been told it's a good idea to use washers on these. I'm not going to use a washer on that one because it's got a big old washer on it now. You know, the back ones have washers on it, but this one does not. I'm going to grab one and put it on. Helps distribute the load a little bit better because these air horns have a tendency to warp. You don't need to be crazy tight with these, just nice and snug. And some of these vacuum lines are in good shape, some are in awful shape. I'm going to leave the ones off that are in awful shape and redo everything that feels like it's about to crack. That one's in good shape. Cruise control. Probably seen me do this before, but hold your filter housing with a 1-inch wrench and then tighten. You should have a line wrench on this because it has a tendency to bung up the nut on your fuel line, but on special, so don't worry about me. Yep. All right, on your choke adjustment, so when your choke is at its highest level, you want to, oh, what did I do? Oh, dumbass. All right. Got my linkage all mixed up here. Whew, thought I put something on backwards. All right. So at your choke rod's highest point, there's a slot right here in the carburetor that it should match up with perfectly. This one is actually just a touch too high, so I'm gonna bend it down about 1/8 of an inch. Hopefully without destroying anything. Yeah, see, it just slips in there. And this one, I can't remember. I'm going to put it in the standard fitting. I've had a couple of them that were in the alt fitting before. Like I said, all depends on how fast you want the idle to pop down. How slow you want it to warm up. Yeah, that feels good there. All right, new vacuum line. This is my favorite part of the day. On the car, on that sticker right there, you're gonna see how the routing is supposed to go. And that's how we're gonna do it. One thing, so that if you plan on starting this thing without the air cleaner on, obviously you're going to need to, because you're going to need to tune this thing up. So you got to cap that open T right there, because that is a wide open vacuum loop. First thing I do is check for fuel leaks. I see nothing here so far. That actually started really fast. I'm impressed. Let this thing warm up for a minute. Pulling these two screws out about another turn. Pretty good crisp power response so far. I'm going to check the timing real quick. Timing's really close. It just maybe like 2 degrees off. For a drive. Vitals are good. Not happy. Time to go back. It's got a stutter. It's not a hesitation. It's a stutter. Like, I don't know if it's ignition or carburetor related, but I'm gonna go and see what we can find out here. I might start looking at ignition components, because it looks like they've been sitting there for a while. All right, I'm back to square one. So I think what I'm going to do first is check the dwell to make sure that's not all wonky. Usually an ignition problem is an indicator on load, and I mean, I guess I was loading it up, but it usually seems like it's not. It's very random. So, I don't know, let's start messing around with it. Okay, dwell angle time. On the negative side of the coil, and then I need to find a ground. 35 degrees. That's too much. keep my fingers from getting chopped off in the fan, and turn the engine off and get this thing installed. Then I can start it back up. Hopefully it won't fall out. The 30 degrees, and you notice the idle increased, which means it changed the timing. So I'm gonna have to go back and check the timing. If you change dwell, it affects the timing, but if you change timing, it does not affect dwell. So gotta do it again. We are at 8. I need to retard it a little bit. Reconnect back in advance. Get rid of the light. Test drive time. All right, let's try it again. Better's already. Yep. Oh yeah. Feeling good so far. I think since this car is nice and toasty now, I'm gonna go back and just readjust those idle circuit screws to make sure we're on the money. But I think we got it licked. Ooh, I'm gonna check the power steering fluid. She gave a little growl. My neighbors love me. I like it so far. So it looks like maybe that the dwell was 5 degrees off to the north. So hopefully that was it. 5 degrees can make a big difference on making these cars run. All right. Okay. One last measurement on IO Cruise. I'm gonna do a quick walk around of this car since it's here, and most people request a walk around of every car I work on. This is a 71 Riviera in vintage red. It has been repainted once. I don't know when, but they did a nice job of making it look like it wasn't just a hack job, because it definitely wasn't. Car runs great now. Interior's in fantastic condition. Looks to be pretty much all original. Maybe new carpet, but probably original headliner. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I'm kind of wondering if maybe they, looks like they masked the jams off and saved that as original paint. So yeah, nice car. Definitely wouldn't kick it out of bed. The wheels on it are in excellent shape. There's not the typical rust all the way around here. Got really nice, what appears to be newish tires on it. Chrome is in awesome shape. Somebody took care of this car. It's got a nice right-hand mirror, which you don't see very often. It's got cornering lights, bunch of power options, got all T3 headlights. Let's see what else kind of goodies we got in here. Bunch of power seat, remote mirror, power windows, power lock, air conditioning. It has been converted to R134, 8-track, the old aftermarket gauges that I put in last time. Yeah, cool car. I like it. Rear defogger, trip set, speed alert, cruise. And on a car that has both of these options, your cruise is going to be on your, I'm sorry, I lied. Cruise is always going to be in your turn signal indicator. I was thinking about this. This is a fingertip wiper washer control. It's a pretty seldom seen option on these cars. So instead of having to hit the wash button, you just hit the button here. Not sure why, but it is what it is. Hey, clock works. Cool. Gotta love these boat tails. They're awesome cars. All right, that's gonna do it for me since I'm sweating through my shirt. Be sure to like and subscribe, tell your friends and family, neighbors, etc. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next episode. It's a repeat customer.